Hello, welcome to the HR Diary. XLOOKUP and INDEX and MATCH are both powerful lookup functions in Excel. INDEX and MATCH can do two-way lookups, but you will need two formulas. You need the index formula as well as the match formula. XLOOKUP is a powerful Excel lookup function because it can replace VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, INDEX and MATCH, and IFERROR. XLOOKUP can do what the index and match does, but with just one formula, the XLOOKUP formula. And XLOOKUP has built-in error handling, so you don't need to use the IFERROR formula. In this video, I will show you how to use Excel's index and match and XLOOKUP function. So these are the 7 examples that I will cover. First, I'll run through how to use the index formula, and then how to use the match formula, followed by how to use index and match formula together to run two-way lookups. Then we will do the vertical lookup with the XLOOKUP formula, and vertical lookup with XLOOKUP formula and with if not found. And number 6, I will go through how to do the horizontal lookup with XLOOKUP formula, and lastly, how to use the nested XLOOKUP formula for two-way lookups. Now, here I'm going to show you how to use Excel's index and match functions individually to understand how they work, right? So we go through this index formula and two match formula. After that, we will write both the index and the match formula together. Now, let's see how to use the index formula. The index function returns a value of a cell in an array at the intersection of a row and a column at the intersection of these two that you provided. So in this example, I want to use this example 1. I want to use index to look up this table array and return the value at the intersection of rating 3 row number and the mid compound ratio column number. So the intersection of this rating 4 and mid compound ratio is 3.5. So how do we use Excel to do it? To do that, here, type the equals to index, open parenthesis, and then select my range of data, which is for here C6 to F11. Then type in the comma, and they will ask you for the row number. I will type in the 4 because my rating 3 is in the, for this columns is in 1, 2, 3, 4, is in the 4th row. All right. So I'll type in 4, type in the comma, and next for this column number, I'll type in 3. All right, because for my area C6 to F11, my column number that I want is the third one. 1, 2, 3. Mid is in the third column, so I have typed in 3 here. Then type the close parenthesis and hit enter. So this is the formula. You'll get 3 because 3 is at the intersection of row 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth row, and also the third column, 1, 2, 3, the third column. All right, so it's at the 4th row and third column of the array from this C's, from here All right, C6 to F11. All right. So on its own, the index function can be pretty inflexible because you have to hard key the row number 4. All right, this 4, I hard key it, as well as the column number 3. But we can make these 4 and 3 dynamic by using the match function, which I will show in these examples here. All right, that's because match returns the position of any item in an array. Now let's move on to the next example. So here, this example 2, I'll go through how to use the match to find the row number for rating 3. The match function looks up a numeric or text value in an array and returns the position of it within the array. So in this example, I want to use match to find the row number for rating 3. So visually, if I select here, so the row number is 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So to do this, type equals to match, open parenthesis, and type match, open parenthesis, and type 3, comma, and then select my range from C6 to C11, the range of my data. All right, and then type in the comma, and type 0 because I want exact match here, and close parenthesis, and hit the enter key. All right. So you'll get 4 because the rating 3 is in the 4th row, 1, 2, 3, 4 of my table array. Remember, my table array is here to here. So the position number 3 is in the 4th row. So the number is 4. So later we can fit the position of this into the index formula. I'll show you in a moment. So in the third example, I want to use match to find the column number for mid. For the mid, there's the high, mid, and low. So I want to find the column number for the mid compile ratio. So to do this, type equals match, open parenthesis, and type in the word mid, comma, and then select my data range. So I will pick from C6, my array, from C6 to F6. All right. So this is saying I want to find mid in this row C6 to F6. Type in the comma, and the match, I want the exact match here, 0. So I type in 0, close parenthesis, and hit enter. So what do you get? So this is my formula. I get 3. All right. What this formula is saying is match this mid, or find this mid from this cell C6 to F6. So they found the mid, which is under 1, 2, 3 on the third column, and that's why they return the third column, right? You get 3 because mid is at the third column of my table array. So later we can fit this formula into this index formula. All right. Now I've shown you how to use index and how to use match. Now let's see how to use index and match together for two-way lookups. So to do this, type the equals index, open parenthesis, and select your range of data. So in my case, my data will be C6 to F11. Type in the comma and type in 4. So my data array is from here to here. And I type in 4 for the row number because 1, 2, 3, 4. My rating 3 is in the 4th row. Then type in a comma. It's in the 4th row. Okay, then type in the comma. And next type in the 3 because I want the mid compile ratio, which is in the 1, 2, 3, which is in the 3rd column. Close parenthesis and hit enter. So this is the formula. So you'll get 3 because 3 is at the intersection of row 4 and column 3. Now, this index function here is still pretty inflexible because I have hard-coded the row here, the row 4, and hard-coded the column 3. To make the index function dynamic, we need to replace this hard-coded number 4 for the row number and number 3 for the column number with the match formulas here. All right. So to do this, we need to copy the formula in this example 2. All right. So I select this and copy it. Then we come here, replace this 4 with that formula, and I paste it. All right. And next, we also need to copy the match formula here in this example 3. Copy this one, copy, and replace this hard-coded number 3 with the match formula. All right. So now, if you change the rating in this cell F here, all right, if you change your rating here to 2, the result here doesn't change. Similarly, if you change the compile ratio in this cell here to high, you'll notice that this again does not change. So this function is still not dynamic. All right, although I've copied the match function here. Why is it not dynamic? Because this number 3 is still hard-coded. So although I key in 2 here, this is still number 3. And the mid is also hard-coded here. It's not tied to this particular cell. So to make this function dynamic, I need to replace this hard-coded 3 to this cell M9 and this hard-coded mid with this cell N9. All right. So let's replace this 3. I select this 3 and then select M9. So click onto this and hit enter. You see the result changes. And then again, I want to replace this hard-coded mid with this cell. And when I hit enter, you get this number. So what this is saying is, so this result is now referring to these 2 cells. And what it is saying is for a rating 2, and a compile ratio that is high. All right. Oh, sorry. The rating 2 is here. For rating 2 and a high compile ratio, the intercept point, the salary increment percentage is 0.3. So I get 0.3. So now if I change the rating in this cell M9 to 5, the result changes to 3.8. So why is it 3.8? Let's see. Rating 5 and high compound ratio, the intercept is 3.8. So it's correct. So similarly, next, if I change the compound ratio in this cell N9 to, let's see, to low and hit the enter, it changes to 4.2. So why is it 4.2? Let's see. The rating 5 here and a low compound ratio, it intercepts at 4.2. So it's 4.2. All right. So now I have shown you how to use the index and match function, how to write the match function separately, and then how to copy the match function, the match formulas into the index formula. So we have this formula. So this formula, it gets the number from this range, C6, this range here, and it uses match to find out the number. All right, now let's do another example of how to use the index and match. So just earlier, we copy the match. We created the index formula and the match function formula separately. Then we copy and paste it into this formula here. This time, I will directly show you how to write this formula. So let's delete this whole formula and write it from scratch so that you understand how to write it. So to do this, type equal index, open parenthesis, and then select my index array, which is, what is my array here? They want me to pick my array, where I'm going to draw the number from. I want to draw it from here, C6 to F11. And you need a comma here, so I type in the comma. So next, let's insert the match. They want the row number. Next, they want the row number and the column number. But instead of typing a fixed row number, I want to use match. So I type in match, open parenthesis, and I want it to look for here, this rating in this cell. And then I type the comma, and I want it to look up the array in cell C6 to F11. I type comma, and then I want exact match, so I pick the 0, close parenthesis. So next, we type in the comma again. Now, let's add another match for this compound ratio. So I'll type in the match, open parenthesis, and I want it to look up this time. Just now we look up M, the rating. Now I want to look up compound ratio, so I click it into this and type the comma, and I want it to look, the lookup array is again here, C6 to F. No. So here I want it to look up to C6 to F6. All right. And then we put in the comma and the 0 for exact match, close parenthesis twice, and hit the enter key. Oops, we got an error here. All right, it should be this cell. My M, this M, the rating is not this entire box. It should be in this column, right? From here to here, right? And we hit the enter. C6. Let me see. C6 to C11 and C6 to F6. Yeah, correct. All right, so we got the formula. This M is the rating. I want it, and I want it to look up in the column here. All right, the rating is in this column. That's why I type in C6 to C11. Whereas the other one, the compile ratio, this compile ratio, it is in this row, C6 to F6. So that's why I use this row. All right. So now let's hit the enter key. So you can see that when the rating is 5 and the compile ratio is low, I get 4.2. So when the rating is 5 and the compile ratio is low, the salary increment percentage is 4.2, and this is showing 4.2. All right, so this is how you use the index and match function together. So I've covered how to use index, how to use match, and how to use the index and match formula together for two-way lookups. Now let's move on to XLOOKUP. So all this from example 4 to 7, basically I will slowly cover until I show you how to do two-way lookup using the nested XLOOKUP. So now let's move on to here. Now I'm going to show you a step-by-step how to use XLOOKUP. So this is the formula for XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP runs on 6 arguments: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These last 3 is optional. You don't need to key in if you don't need it. All right. So the lookup value is the data you're looking for. The lookup array is the range that you want to search for that value. The return array contains the result that you want it to display. This if not found is an optional parameter. So if you don't want not NA not applicable to appear in your sheet, you can indicate the return value if it doesn't find a match. You can put it as a blank, or you can write a word, no data found. All right. So instead of returning an error, you can indicate a specific value that you want. And then you can also use this optional match code to specify the type of match. You want it to be an exact match, or an exact match or smaller item, exact match or next larger item, or wildcard character match, such as asterisk. And the other optional parameter is the search mode. So here is where you specify the search mode to use. It allows you to search an array from the top to bottom, or vice versa. So you can search from the first to the last to the first, or you can sort in ascending order. So there are various ways that you can search. So here I have a vertical lookup array organized in vertical columns from H4 here to I8. So I want to use XLOOKUP to search for a value in this first column and return a corresponding value in another column. So in this column, for example, I want to search for 2, and then they return what is the increment for 2 is 0.5. So if I search 3, I want it to return the increment that is 1.5%. All right. And I want it to fill up here. So to start, in this cell, type equals to X lookup and open parenthesis. So the first argument is the lookup value. This is the value that you want to look up. In our example, the value that we want to look up is the rating here, and this is in cell E4. So I will click onto the E4 here and type the comma. So after the typing the comma, it brings me to the second argument, the lookup array. So I want XLOOKUP to find this rating, all right, this rating 4, all right. I want XLOOKUP to find rating, and the rating lookup array is in this column here, H4 to H8. So I will select H4 to H8, and then I want to lock it by putting the $sign here, all right. All right. You can also lock the cells by hitting the function F4 on your keyboard. So next, type in the comma. All right. Okay. By the way, I lock these cells so that when I drag the formula down, it still references this H4 to H8. Still references this. I don't want it to move. All right. So after typing the comma, the third argument is the return array. I want XLOOKUP to return the increment percentage, and the increment percentage vertical lookup is in column I4 to I8. So I'll select this column for the return array. Then I can either lock these cells by manually keying the $sign like what you saw I did just now, or I can, at my keyboard, press the function F4 key. All right. So now the other arguments here are optional. If not file, match mode, search mode. So I don't want to use them now. So I can just type the close parenthesis and hit enter. So now if I drag them down, the increment percentage will appear for the rest. So let's see, rating 4, 2%. So rating 4, 2%, correct. Rating 5, 2.5%. Rating 5, 2.5%. This is blank because there is no blank increment percentage. And then rating 2, 0.5%. Rating 2, 0.5%. And rating 1, no increment. So here you have the XLOOKUP, the vertical XLOOKUP. So I've shown you how to do a vertical lookup with XLOOKUP formula. Now, let's see how to do vertical lookup with XLOOKUP and if not found. So looking at here, we have this data here, all right? We get this NA error message because when D does not have rating here in column E. And I do not have a field in my lookup array with no rating. So if you are using VLOOKUP, you need to replace, and you want to replace the NA error message with a custom message, you need to add in another formula called the IFERROR formula before the VLOOKUP formula. However, in XLOOKUP, you don't need to use the IFERROR formula to replace the error message. XLOOKUP has a fourth argument called if here, if not found, that you can use to replace messages with a custom message or a blank cell when a valid match is not found. So if you want to replace errors with a custom message, here, you see I have used this lookup value, I have used lookup array, I have used return array, but I did not use if not found. So if I want to use it, type a comma there, and then it goes to the if not found, and I can type in the word no increment and enter. Yes, so I have got the word no increment. So if you want to replace errors instead of with a custom message, you want to to use a blank cell, all right, you can just delete this, all right, and it's blank. Or if you want to replace the error message with a 0, you can type in the 0 here, all right. Just type in the 0 here and hit enter. All right. So this is how you use the if not found formula with XLOOKUP. And also you can drag this down, all right. You can copy and paste the formula there. All right. I have shown you how to do the vertical lookup with XLOOKUP and if not found. Now, let's see how to do horizontal lookup using the XLOOKUP formula, which is here. Now, this example, I'll show you how to do horizontal lookup with XLOOKUP. So again, this is the formula for XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP runs on 6 arguments, where the last 3 are optional. So now, if your lookup array is organized in horizontal rows like this, previously it was organized in vertical rows like this. So when it's organized in vertical row, you either use VLOOKUP or I've shown you can use XLOOKUP. But if it's organized in horizontal row, you can either use HLOOKUP, but you can also use the powerful XLOOKUP. So now here, my lookup array is in horizontal rows. So I can use the XLOOKUP function to search for value in a row of my data table. For example, in this row, to search for here in a row and return another value from another row. For example, this row. So here I have a staff list. I want to find out what is the increment percentage in this column E based on the rating in column D. So to start in this cell, type equals X lookup, open parenthesis. So the first parameter is the lookup value. This is the value that you want to look up. In our example, the value that we want to look up is rating. And this is in cell D6. So I'll select this cell. And then I type in the comma. And it goes on to the next parameter. The second parameter is the lookup array. So rating is in H4 to L4. So I'll select this range for the lookup array. And then I'll lock it by pressing function F4 in my keyboard. All right. So that is the $ that locks the cell. And type in the comma. All right. Now it moves to the third argument, the return array. I want XLOOKUP to look up increment percentage. And increment percentage is at row, the array is at row H5 to L5. Okay, so I can lock the cells by manually typing the $, or I can press the function F4 key on my keyboard. So now the other arguments are optional. The default match mode for XLOOKUP is look for the exact match. And then I don't want to specify them here. So I don't want to use all this. So I can just type in the close parentheses and hit enter. Now, if I drag this down, right, in column E, the increment percentage will appear for the rest. So these are the increment percentages, right? 4% rating, get 2% increment. 4% rating, 2% increment. 5, rating 5 gets 2.5% increment. Yep, it's correct. Rating 2 get 0.5% increment. Rating 2 get 0.5% increment. And 3, you get 1.5. Rating 1, you get 0. So, all right. So, all are correct. So now, remember, there's this error message. Why are we getting this error message? It's because Wendy does not have a rating here. So, how are we going to fix it? Similar to just now, I want to replace this error message. There's a few ways. All right, I can replace it with a custom message by typing comma and put no increment. All right, close quotation mark. When you're typing text, you need open quotation mark, type in the text and close quotation mark and enter. So you have no increment here. So if you want to replace the error message with a blank cell, just delete this. Just make sure you have an open and close quotation mark and hit enter and you have a blank cell. And if you want it to be 0, remove this and type in the 0 and hit enter and you get 0 here, right? So I can use copy and paste this formula, drag it down. All right, so this is how you do the horizontal lookup with XLOOKUP. So I've shown you how to do horizontal lookup with XLOOKUP. Lastly, I want to show you how to use nested XLOOKUP for two-way lookups. Remember, number 3, I showed you how to use index match for two-way lookup. Now, in this XLOOKUP versus index lookup, I will show you how to use a nested XLOOKUP formula for two-way lookups. So here I'll show you how to do the nested XLOOKUP. A nested XLOOKUP means having a XLOOKUP within a XLOOKUP. So in this example, I want to find the salary increase based on the rating and compound ratio. I want to find the salary increase for each of this person. All right, and this is supposed to draw from this array here. All right, so first in this cell, I want to find out what is the salary increase percentage for rating N, who has a rating 5, and a compound ratio of 0.8. So I can see from the table here, rating 5 and compound ratio less than 0.8. So where does it intersect? Here, 7.5%. So for rating 5 and compound ratio less than 0.8, the salary increment is 7.5%. So I'm going to show you how to use XLOOKUP to get this. So let's begin by typing equals to XLOOKUP, open parentheses, and this starts up the XLOOKUP function. So the first argument is the lookup value. So lookup value is the value that you want to look up. In this example, the value that I want to look up is rating 5, and rating 5 is in this cell. So I will click onto this cell, I4. All right, so you look up the value in this cell. And then next I type the comma, and now XLOOKUP asks me for the lookup array. So this second argument is lookup array. Lookup array is the range to search for this rating. All right. So in this example, the range that contains rating is in this column C5 to C9. All right. So I will select this C5 to C9 and then lock it by entering function F4 in my keyboard. All right. So I'm locking this so that when the formula is dragged, it always references this cell at all times. Then key in the comma. And now XLOOKUP asks you in the third argument, the return array. Which is the return array? So for the return array, what I want to do is to add, all right, I want it to add another XLOOKUP function. So we are going to type, all right, XLOOKUP. All right. So we're going to type XLOOKUP again, and then type open parentheses. And then now I want to look up the compile ratio. So I'm going to select this cell J4. All right. And type in the comma. And I want XLOOKUP to find this compile ratio. And compile ratio is in the row D4 to F4. So I'll select this D4 to F4 and lock it with the $sign, right? Then let's type in the comma. Now I want XLOOKUP to return the salary increment percentage from here. All right, from these cells here. So I will select cell D5 to F9 for the return array. And then again, lock the reference table by pressing F by function F4 in the keyboard. So next, I'm looking for an exact match. So we don't need to worry about the other arguments. So we can just type close parentheses twice. All right. And then hit enter. So now if I drag the formula down in this column K, the salary increase percentage will appear for the rest. So let's check. Rating 5 compile ratio is less than 0.8. Rating 5 compile ratio less than 0.8, 7.5%. All right, so it's correct. What about this? Rating 3 and 1.2. Rating 3 and 1.2, 3%, and you have 3% here. Rating 1 and 0.8 to 1.2. Rating 1, 0.8 to 1.2, you get 0%. This is right. Rating 3 and 0.8 to 1.2 for compile ratio, you get 4%. This is correct. All right. And rating 4, compile ratio 0.8 to 1.2, 5. Sorry, I want this, not this. Rating 4 and more than 1.2 compile ratio. So it's 3.75, 3.75. All right, the intersection is correct. So now fat, I get a not applicable, I get an error message because I did not have a rating here. So we can, all right. So this we can fix this error message, all right, by typing the comma here. All right, we type it in between these two parentheses. All right, type in the comma and use the double quotation mark, and I can type the word no salary increase, close quotation mark, and hit enter, and I get this message. So instead of showing me the error, it gave me the message that I want it to display. So if I want to replace the errors with a blank cell, all right, I can just delete away this, but I will just need to use 2 double quotation mark, and I hit enter, and I get something here. And if you want it to replace error message with a 0, I delete this, I just enter the 0 here. All right. So this is the formula. Let me copy and paste it here and drag it down. So there, here. So we have the nested X lookup. All right, so this is how you do nested X lookup, which is a X lookup within an X lookup. So I've shown you how to do all these examples. I've shown you how to do XLOOKUP as well as the index and match function. That's it. Thanks for watching Excel Tricks by the HR Diary. If you are not a subscriber, click down below to subscribe so you'll get notified about similar videos that we upload. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the HR Diary channel. See you.